Welcome to my Expert Mode tutorial for Double Dragon Advance for the Game Boy Advance. And Expert Mode is actually only accessible through a cheat code. I'm going to list that and the 10 credit code in the description, so check those out. I'll also include a moves list of all the moves in the game from GameFaqs. I'll include that all in the description, so check that out. So yeah, originally I beat the Expert Mode on the 10 credit code, so I was using the 10 continue code basically when I beat it. And that could be considered illegitimate for sure, but the Expert Mode is also only accessible via a cheat code as well, so it depends how you want to interpret that, if you want to use that. It's also good practice if you want to use the 10 continue code to practice. The game, gives you up to 5 continues. You can set that in the options menu. I like to set the lives to 5 and the continues to 5. So this is on the when I did finally beat Expert Mode the second time. First time I beat it with the 10 credits, and the second time I did it on the default 5 credits, and I was down to the last life. So I think beating Expert Mode on the default 5 credits, I think that took me like maybe 6 hours or something like that to finally pull off, because originally I did it first on the 10 continue mode, so it was tough. But then after that I spent another 6 or so hours creating the tutorial footage you see here. So this is all this footage was created just solely for the tutorial to demonstrate. So there's only one death shown in this whole tutorial near the end where I run out of time, where you pretty much, unless you know how to speedrun the game, are going to die from running out of time. So keep that in mind. But yeah, so this tutorial, it's all segmented from, footage that I spent time making, with save states. I made segments in the stages. Now, the first stage I did in one straight playthrough without any segments, because it's such an easy stage, compared to the other stages. So, but all the other stages were done in several segments each with save and load states, and you're going to see those save states. You're going to see them appear on the bottom left corner when they were used most of the time. So that'll give you an idea of, where I use the segments. So this is not a straight-through playthrough, since it's mainly meant as a demonstration to show the best ways I came up with to do each segment. I tried to refine each segment of the stage to try to, pull the most bullshit possible, basically. So yeah, one thing I learned for Expert Mode that helped a lot was I learned how to juggle, which is you can use a uppercut move to knock the guy in the air, and then you have 2 ways to hit the enemy while he's launched in the air. The only launch move you really have that launches the enemy straight up is your uppercut move. The other launcher move is a flying knee, which sends the guy across the screen. So when you do that, you can't really get any additional hits on him in the air, because he's on the other side of the screen after you hit him with that. So your main move that you're going to use to try to do juggle combos, basically, while the guy's in the air, is you're going to use the uppercut to get the guy airborne. Then after you do that, you have to use either a flying knee to get a second hit in and send the guy across the screen, or you can headbutt the guy while he's coming down from the attack. The headbutts seem pretty weak, though, so I never used them in the juggle combo. So the most powerful combo seems to be an uppercut followed by a flying knee, which you're going to see me do quite a bit in this game. So I'm going to list those moves. It took me some practice. So you can manipulate the AI here and get all these guys to go into this pit. Just hang out by that opening, and you can get all the guys in there pretty easily. These guys are pretty easy to knock into this hole as well. So I try to put all these initial guys in this pit here. But yeah, it took me a while to get the timing down for that juggle combo. It did take a little practice. But in this game, you have a shitload of moves, so it is worth getting familiar with them because they're useful for a lot of different scenarios. So that was the uppercut you saw me just use to knock the guys into the air. And you can use it here, and these guys will have trouble trying to get to you if you're below them like that. You can hit them. For this part, I run all the way to the right, and I just stay on this right side. And initially, all these guys will just go right into this conveyor belt hole right here and just die. So now you can get some more guys to go in there sometimes. Depending, it sometimes seems to be a little bit lucky, but there's probably a consistent way to do it. But Once I do that, the easiest way I find to deal with this, guys, this part can be very hard. You could easily lose a few lives on this part on Expert. But the way I find to make it easy is to stay... I get about pixel perfect with the bottom of the screen. If you go any lower than that, you will fall off the screen and die and lose a life. So you got to be careful with this method. But by getting all the way down, you're causing all the enemies to be forced into a single plane of movement. So all the enemies have to come straight at you from either the left or the right. They don't have any other choice. So, I mean, they can come from the top and try to come down on top of you, obviously, but when you get down here like this, it kind of just forces the guys. The AI is not smart enough to figure that out in this part. And you can, for the most part, you can manage them. If you see a guy coming, down from right above you, then you want to move out of the way, obviously, and hit him when he comes back down to the bottom. You also have some knives you can use, and the whip is very useful to keep these guys at a distance. Once you get the whip, this part is very easy. These fast punching guys can be a huge pain in the ass. They're probably the hardest enemies in the game to deal with. And they're already here on the second stage, so this makes this part very easy. You shouldn't have much trouble with using that pit luring trick I showed in the beginning, and then, of course, this. After you get those guys in the hole, then, just go down to the bottom of the screen, very bottom, and just, force them all into that single line. So here you're going to want to get the whip. And I would recommend staying on this right side of the screen so you don't lure out more enemies yet. And take out that Linda with the whip. Now here I could have easily just whipped this Burkov enemy to death. Or Burmov, whatever it's called. I could whip this guy to death if I wanted to. And I could do it, pretty safely. But for the purposes of the tutorial, I didn't want to make it, any longer than it had to be. So I'm playing more aggressively here. And I'm using that combo I was talking about where you launch with the uppercut and then follow up with the knee. So that's what you see me doing here. See, it requires a specific timing, so it does take a little practice to get down to be able to execute both moves. But it's not too hard, but it did take me a little practice to get that move down consistently to be comfortable with it. But you do want to be careful about launching the enemy, or about following the enemy too far on the left side of the screen, or you will activate the other enemies. Then you'll have to deal with all the other enemies. So remember that in this game, a lot of times you can choose how many enemies you want to fight by scrolling the screen, inching the screen. If you go too far, you're going to spawn more waves of enemies. So, I mean, there are certain, of course, certain waves of enemies are unavoidable. Sometimes you have to fight a lot of enemies at a time. Often you have to do that because that's just the way the game is set up. But, you don't have to fight more enemies if you don't inch the screen a lot of times. So yeah, if you want to play this guy safely, just keep some distance from him and keep whipping him to death. I just don't show that, but there are some very safe methods you can use throughout the entire game for certain parts. When you're isolating a single enemy, you can usually do some safe tactics. But I'm not going to be showing that, that here because it's so basic. I did show how that would look in the first stage. If you watched that, you saw me whipping the Abobo to death, and that's probably the last time in the game that I do that tactic because it's very, it just takes long. And, after you see me do it a few times, you get the idea. There's not really much to show. So I wanted to make the tutorial a little bit more entertaining instead of just using just purely safe methods on everything. But, as long as you know that those methods are available, you can use them on any parts that are, applicable to that. So, yeah, once and you still have the whip at this point, so it's easy to take care of those remaining scragglers at the end with the whip. This game's really all about crowd control and getting the enemies grouped together properly. The main difference on Expert seems to be that the enemies take a shit ton of hits to kill. They really take a lot of hits to kill, and that makes it a lot harder. The enemies may also be much more aggressive, but I didn't test it enough to see the difference. I just know that Expert is way harder than the other settings. I know that I did much worse on Expert than I did on normal. Though when I went back to this game recently, I started on Expert, since I beat the game on hard many years ago. But I had to relearn everything because, I didn't remember all the moves and what I did. But yeah, you want to try to just, take on these enemies one at a time. Launch the ones you can, but as soon as you get these sticks, now what you're going to be doing is trying to group these enemies in nice little groups. And use the run to get distance. If the guys are getting too close, run to the other side and get them in a little group. You want to try to get them to kind of horde in on one point, to where they group together. You want them to clump together so you can hit multiple at the same time. That's what you're really trying to do. That's my main strategy here. I do take on single enemies, of course, as well, but you don't really want to use rapid fire in this game on a controller because I was doing that initially, and I was doing a lot of extra strikes that I didn't need to be doing. Because with these sticks, which is one of the best weapons in the game, probably the best weapon, I think, but with these sticks, it's very easy to do extra strikes with rapid fire. Even with manual fire, you'll do it. And that can get you, hit or killed very easily because you get comboed to death very fast on expert. The guys they don't give you a chance to really recover in this game. So try to move around and take out single enemies when you can, but the more of them you can group together, the better it's going to be. A lot of this game, it's really positioning and crowd control. And I'm going to show you a lot of exploits I found to make some of the hardest sections very, very easy. Because I spent, like I said, about 6 hours just for the tutorial. Just making this footage you see here for the tutorial took about 6 hours. And I did it with save states. I made save states. I made my own checkpoints, basically. I made save states on each little section that I wanted to refine. So a lot of times, if it was just like a single wave of enemies, I might make a save state and start that and keep starting that encounter over and over until I got a good run of it. And I went through the whole game like that pretty much. And for the final boss, I did a no damage run of that. So that should be good footage as well. But yeah, for these guys, as long as you have the sticks, these guys are very easy. You just group them, get them, try to get them to be grouped, together like that, to where they're both on top of each other. And you can hit them both at the same time. It just saves time. It makes it a lot easier to deal with than when you have them on, either side of you. Now, if you have one on your left and one on your right, it's going to be harder. But what you can do is you can just keep running at them and use your run attack with the weapon. And just keep running and comboing them. Run to the left, combo the one on the left. Run to the right, combo the one on the right. Run to the left, etc. Just keep repeating that until you get both. But if you do have an opportunity, like I said, try to group them together. It's going to be a lot easier. You're going to minimize your risk of getting hit that way. A lot of times the enemies will run into these weapon attacks. If you're in front of them and you keep mashing, you will usually get them. A big thing with this game is, like most beat 'em ups, is you want to switch your plane of movement slightly from the enemy. So if the enemy is above you, you want to get a few steps below the enemy. It throws them off so that they have to move down to try to get to you. And while they're moving down, you can combo them. And that's something that I'm continuously doing the entire time. But if you know about beat 'em ups, you'll see what I'm doing there. Now with the knives, these Lindas have knives and they will throw knives at you. So just be aware that you may want to take them out first. Or if not, just sidestep the knife by moving either up or down. You can dodge the knife. You can also try to hit the knife out of midair. You can strike projectiles in this game and take them out. But that's a little bit more dangerous. I would recommend just moving up or down. It's easier. So now you're going to have another group of these stick enemies. I believe there's only one of them that actually drops the stick weapon. So what you want to do is make sure you don't lose this stick weapon. If you think you're going to get hit, stay away from the edge of the screen because if you do get knocked over while holding the weapon, you will drop the weapon. And if you're on the very edge of the screen, the weapon can go off screen and you won't be able to pick it up again. Even if you can see part of it visibly on the screen, you won't be able to grab it. A great thing about this game is that you can drop weapons by pressing one of the triggers on the Game Boy Advance. So I think it's left bumper. So if you hit that, you'll drop your weapon. A great thing about that is that you don't have to worry about picking up weapons accidentally in this game. You can stand over a weapon and keep striking if you already have a weapon equipped, and you won't grab another weapon. That's a huge problem with a lot of these old beat-em-ups. So this game is really well made, extremely well made game. So for this part, you want to use pretty much the same tactics that we've been using with grouping these guys and trying to isolate them when possible and grouping them together. These guys are more dangerous, these boss guys, because the ones in the little brown karate suit are more dangerous because they have these moves that strike from a pretty far distance, this spinning kick they do. It's pretty dangerous. But you want to just kind of apply the method of trying to get a little bit below them so that they have to move down a little bit to get to you. And you want to try to get that first hit in. You'll get used to getting those first hits in after a while, after you play this game enough. It's a very important thing to learn about this game. But yeah, if they start getting too close, get the fuck out of there. Just run. You double tap, forward to run, as a lot of these games. And I'm gonna, I think it's gonna be too much for me to try to explain all the moves and all the button combinations for the moves in this tutorial. So I'm just gonna post a description of all the moves, because there's a lot that I have to go over here as far as the strategies that I'm using. But if you have any questions, just ask me and I'll be able to explain everything. So you want to try to get these guys off the edge of the truck as quickly as possible. That's my tactic. So I wait by the edge of the truck and I try to kick them all off. Now this part is the hardest part in the game, possibly, to no death run. So I do show it being done without deaths here, but I did it in segments. Now in my actual runs, when I try this game again, I'm going to try for a 1cc on expert, which means no continues lost. When I try this again, I'm probably going to lose multiple lives on this part. I don't expect to do this without dying. It's very hard. But the idea for me is that I would rather stay by the ledge and try to throw the guys off, because there's a good chance I'm going to get knocked off the ledge anyway. You get thrown very far, and you'll usually go off the end of the truck by the enemies anyway. Now, you can try to play it safe and stay more on the right side. And what I do here is I group these guys together with the juggle combo, and I use the flying knee. So I use the uppercut to launch them, and then I use a flying knee to send them off the edge of the truck. Now, you can do that to the left side of the truck or the right side, and you'll have enough distance to launch them off either side. So if you want to knock them off the front of the truck or the back of the truck, you can launch them in either direction. It'll work. So keep that in mind. You notice I got rid of that purple guy immediately as soon as he appeared, because he's the one that has the most health. He's kind of like the little mid-boss of those guys. So I recommend trying to get rid of him immediately as soon as he spawns. Now for these bosses, all you really have to do is take out the red guy, and if you kill the red guy, you will end this whole encounter, and all the other enemies will die. So keep that in mind. You can do that if you want. If you're not comfortable with that, you can actually lure out each one of these guys individually, one at a time. But the thing is, if you do that, it takes a lot longer, and you can run out the timer. So I recommend fighting a few of them at the same time if you're able to, because they're pretty easy. And the launch combo works great on them, where you use you get down slightly below them, you wait for them to kind of come to you, like you'll see in a moment. See how they come down to you and then you hit them? It's kind of like that. So when the guy comes down, you start your uppercut and hit him with the uppercut and then launch him with the flying knee. And that's a combo you're going to want to practice, like I said. Maybe practice it on normal or even easy just to get used to it. You see, it's an uppercut and then a flying knee. It's a little tricky to pull off. There's some timing to it, but the main timing to it is just that you want to pull off both moves quickly enough. As long as you do them quickly enough, it'll usually, it'll hit. But it's a little tricky because you have to hit B and A at the same time to kneel down. Then you hit either B or A to do an uppercut. Then you got to kneel down again by hitting B and A, and then you got to hit one of the other buttons again. I think it's either A or B to do the flying knee. So it's tricky to do all that in a small amount of time, so you do have to practice that a little bit. So yeah, these juggle combos, like you said, same thing here. You'll see me using it a lot. It works very well, especially on expert. And for the axe, I don't recommend using any of the, most of these weapons. There's a few weapons I would recommend using, but whenever you get something like an axe, the only thing it's really good for is throwing it at the enemies. It's very shitty if you try to strike the enemies with it. It doesn't work right. Now to throw certain weapons, you can't throw every weapon, but to throw a weapon, you press B and A at the same time while holding the weapon. You'll throw it. And that's going to be in the moves list, I'm sure, as well, when I list that. So pretty much same kind of strategies here. We're trying to, you don't want the guys to group around you too much. You want to try to keep moving and cause them to switch planes so you can get that first hit in. You can also alternatively start up a combo by using a kick first to kick the guy and stun him, and then you can follow up with an uppercut and knee launch if you want. That's a 3-hit combo you can do. That's another thing you can do. I do that sometimes, but punching is not very useful in the game. You may punch occasionally to get a guy trapped in a combo. If you get the right range, you can kind of do an endless combo sometimes. But punching is almost useless most of the time. So if you're going to use an attack that's not not a weapon attack, or it's not an uppercut or a flying knee, you're probably going to want to use your kick to get the guy stunned initially, because it has a lot of range. And it does better damage than the punch as well, I believe. But here you can get the whip, which takes care of these guys pretty easily. So once you get that, you can, just whip everybody. Just make sure you keep your distance. Nothing too hard here for this mode. Now here I kick the barrel over just for the fuck of it, and it actually ends up hitting 2 enemies. So I get an enemy to come down below the barrel. Of course, all this isn't necessary, but it's just for the fuck of it. And see, it gets those 2 enemies. There was a guy sitting on that ledge as well. The main thing you want to do here is try to knock these guys in this little tiny hole here. It's like playing basketball with these guys. You want to try to launch them. You got to get the distance just right, and you'll get them right in the hole. So, practice that. You should be able to easily do that with a little practice. This guy is very easy to get into the water, so just run at him and start mashing, and you will combo him eventually into the water. So he goes in the water. You didn't see the splash there, but he did go in the water. So now, if you stun this guy to where he's keeled over in pain briefly, you can use that opportunity to switch sides real fast, get behind him, and then combo him into the water as well. See, when the guy's keeled over like that, see when he's holding his stomach in pain with his mouth open? That's the main stun. It's not the regular little hits, but when you see the guy kind of keel over, that's your opportunity to run past the guy and get behind him and continue your combo. If you do it too early, the guy will just recover very quick and just, hit you anyway. Same thing here. Try to get these guys into the hole. Keep the sticks, I recommend. You don't need any other weapon. You can always drop your sticks and pick up a knife and throw the knife at the enemy too for some extra damage, but you really don't need to do all that. The sticks are good enough, and there's a lot of holes around this area, so... so you can get these guys in there pretty easily. Of course, you don't have to use those holes either. You can see, you can try to lure the guys into the dynamite so they take extra damage, and you can try to group them together and just use a stick. Just watch out for these enemies with the knives, these Lindas with the knives. They can cause a problem. Knives do huge damage if you get hit by a knife, so you don't want that. Same thing here. Just try to launch them into the holes. And now there's a little trick here that if you go really low in this area and knock the guys off the ledge, they will die. See, that's a death. So what you want to do is try to knock them off the lower bottom right of the screen. If you go up a little bit too high, you're going to knock them onto the bridge, and then they're just going to jump back up and fight you again. So you don't want to do that. You want to launch them off this little edge you see me using right here on the bottom right. Make sure you do that. I don't know if that was low enough. I think it may have been proper, but you want to make sure you're launching them. You want to knock them off, low enough on the screen. So, something else you can do that's great with these sticks is you can kick the guy like that and then smack him. And see, it's a 2-hit combo that knocks the guy right off the edge. So it's a very fast way to knock guys off the edge if you don't want to, if you don't have time for an entire combo, because sometimes a guy might be coming up behind you. If you need a quick way to knock a guy off of a cliff, kick him and then smack him with the stick. It's a 2-hit knockdown. So keep that in mind. Now, of course, the fastest way to knock an enemy down is by using your headbutts, which honestly I probably should have used more often, but I really don't use them unless by accident. I just never really worked them into my little repertoire of moves, But yeah, for this part, try to knock these guys off that right ledge as you saw me do. If you watch back, you'll see what I did. I aggressively moved the guys. I hoarded all their bodies over to the right and off the end of the little bridge there. So keep that in mind. You do also earn 1-ups from points, so you will get a decent amount of 1-ups by just playing through the game. Now I'm going to show you an exploit here that makes this part extremely easy. Normally this is one of the harder parts in the game, where you get thrown off the cliff. There's tons of hard enemies. What I do here is this is an awesome fucking exploit that I found. So initially I start off kind of kicking from the back of this little platform here. And after this group of guys, I start moving up more to the front. So you may want to try moving up to the front from the beginning, but I think maybe the reason I stay in the back is because there's a lot of dynamite coming through at this part. And I wanted some room to get the guys to kind of come up and maybe walk into the dynamite. So I think that's what I was trying to do here. So you can try that. This distance works great on these regular enemies to take advantage of them. They have, because they're going to jump up and get knocked back down, basically. All you're doing is continuously mashing kick. And the enemies are just going to fuck themselves up again and again. So it's a great way to deal with these guys. If you want to play it safe. I was playing it safe. I was trying to find exploits and shit. So This group of enemies is really not that difficult to deal with normally, obviously. You've dealt with much worse by this point. It's not really a big problem, but this is going to play into what we do on the harder enemies, and you're going to see in a moment how this is going to work. So yeah, once these big guys start coming out, just get up at the very edge of this ledge here and keep rapidly kicking. It fucks everybody up. Now you're going to see me fast forwarding as I'm playing. I'm going to be hitting fast forward on the emulator because this takes very long. But you shouldn't run out the timer, so don't worry about that. You'll be sitting there for a long time if you're playing on a Game Boy Advance. You're probably going to be doing this for a few minutes on each encounter. So you got to be a little patient if you're going to do this, but it does work. And you should be able to beat these guys without any damage, so you won't waste any lives. And I highly recommend doing this. If you're just trying to beat expert mode, these are the kind of exploits that are going to save your ass. And I think after watching my tutorial, I think most players that are familiar with beat-em-ups aren't going to have too much trouble on expert. I mean, there's still going to be parts that can really drain lives, but you'll be saving a lot of fucking problems by doing these exploits. That's why I really put a lot of time into finding these exploits because, all that 6 hours I spent, I really learned a lot by breaking the game down in segments and practicing, parts and just playing the game for 6 hours again, just doing it segment by segment, trying to get clean segments. I really, really learned the game. So now I feel like I'm ready to do a 1cc run on expert, which is no continues lost. I'm going to try that after I complete this commentary, and I'm probably going to do an easy mode speed run just for fun, submit it to the speedrun site, just for a little bit of fun. I'm not really a speedrunner, but I do enjoy shit like that. So same shit here. You're standing up on the ledge doing the same shit. I didn't explain it because it's the same strategy. Now, there is something to consider. The guys with dynamite, actually the guys with rocks in this part that come with these Burmov guys, the masked guys, you may want to take out the guy with the rock first because he'll keep throwing the rock up on the ledge and knocking you over. So keep that in mind. You can also grab the rock and throw it up on the ledge into the middle of the ledge so that it's not in your way. And that way the other enemies can't get it. I've done that before too, but it's up to you. But you don't want the guy with the rock throwing the rock up there. So try to at least knock it out of his hands, and a lot of times he won't grab it again, and you can just keep comboing him. So if you're lucky with that, then that's good. If not, take the rock, just grab the rock yourself, throw it up on the ledge, and just make sure the enemies can't get up on the ledge to get the rock. Because they'll keep throwing the rock at you sometimes. It's very annoying. So yeah, I fast-forwarded that. That part takes very, very long. But same shit, stand up on the ledge and just keep kicking. That's it. Super easy with that method. And that's one of the hardest parts of the game. So, you're saving yourself a lot of lives by doing that shit. So here you're going to want to grab the sticks as soon as possible. You want to put these guys in the water. It's the fastest way. Now here you can land across this ledge with a jump kick, knock that guy in the water, and then hit the other guy with the stick, knock him in the water. So you get rid of those two guys. Now get down here, take these two Lindas out, knock them in the water. Take that Abobo for a swim on the left. Now the one on the right, I'm not sure if he went into the water. Actually he did, yeah. So they both went for a swim, so that's really good. I think I put like 14 or more Abobos into the fucking water in this stage. It's pretty cool, man. You're going to like this shit. Yeah, so, let's see. Yeah, put that fucking guy in the water again, go for a fucking swim. Now, these guys, you can kind of just keep them on the right and keep knocking them down, but it does take long with the Abobo. And, you're probably going to get kind of fucking bored and switch to another video as I'm fighting the Abobo, but I could have fought this guy more aggressively, obviously. I was being very safe. But, I think for the tutorial purposes, it's more than a good demonstration. You're going to get the idea after the first time I do this. So, it's not going to be too entertaining to watch me play it safe on this guy. But it does work. And, I was just trying to really exploit each section and really, like I said, I did try to play more aggressively at certain points because I didn't want to make the tutorial too fucking dragged out. Near the end of the game, there's a part where you can just keep throwing a bat at all the enemies. And you can just keep grabbing the bat and throwing it at the enemies. Instead of actually doing that, because it's very boring to watch, instead of actually doing that, I wanted the tutorial to be more entertaining. So what I do is at the very end of this tutorial, I'm going to show a little bonus footage of how you can throw the bat across the arena and keep getting it. I didn't want to put that in my main gameplay for the tutorial because I just thought it was a little bit tedious, not too interesting. So knock these guys into the right, group them together and get them all in the water. If you can, try to circle around this Abobo and start knocking him towards the water as well. And that's the end of those guys. Now, you're going to have a bunch of these stick enemies come out. Try to get behind them. Use a kick if you need to stun them and get behind them. The kick gives you an instant stun where the guy's holding his balls, basically. And with that stun, it's a longer stun, so you can get behind the guys. So if you need to get behind somebody, just kick them in the balls and just go behind them and start comboing the shit out of them. So yeah, after you corral all those guys into the fucking lake, now you're going to take these fucking guys to the swimming pool as well. So apparently they can't fucking swim. They don't even try to fucking swim. They just fucking die. So you got fucking Afro Abobos. It's like a fucking clown show. You got multicolored Abobos. There's a whole freak show that comes out of this fucking door. But yeah, sometimes they will get behind you. But if you stay all the way in this left with your back to the wall as you see me, and in this corner, this is the exploitation spot to try to group these guys together and have them come to you and go in the water. Now, if you don't have the weapon, if you lost the stick weapon, you can do this same shit just by kicking them into the water. So you can kick them, and 2 kicks will put them in the water. You just got to try to land that first hit as soon as they come down. You got to be quick, but very doable. And with the stick weapon, you can kind of just keep mashing the sticks, and they'll usually always go into it. You don't really have to time it too well. So it's very easy to do. Now, occasionally a guy will get behind you and fuck up your whole rhythm with trying to hoard them all together and get them all in that water. So be aware of that. You may have to maneuver to try to, if your back is against the wall, it's harder for them to get behind you, obviously. So that's part of the purpose of keeping your back against the wall. But they can still creep up around the screen and go around you. So you got to be careful. So now with this part, if you go on this ledge here, you can kick all these guys into the spikes. And eventually you're going to get a stick weapon. This is another part that can be very hard. You don't have a lot of room to move, and it can be tough. So eventually you're going to be able to grab, either the nunchuck or the stick or both. Of course, once I get the sticks, that's the weapon I'm going to stick with because that's my favorite weapon overall. It has a little bit more range, I think, than the nunchuck, and I just find it to be more reliable. I get hit more with the nunchuck, it seems. With the nunchuck, he also tends to do this combo where he steps forward sometimes, and it can make you walk into spikes and shit. It's not ideal. So yeah, use the nunchuck or the stick, or you can just keep kicking guys, but just get them to fall into the pit. Eventually, they're going to knock themselves into the pit. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to hoard guys to the invisible. I think there's an invisible ledge that I'm going to use. Yeah, so you can't see it, but the pit is still there. So what you want to do is, you saw how I got up in that corner and then I snuck back down and got behind the guys, and now I'm knocking them all into the pit. Keep in mind, you can also use that dragon breath trap. If you get near that, guys will go up to that and get hit as well. I was kind of doing that when I was knocking the guys in the pit. I had the dragon breath also kind of protecting me on the top. So utilize that as well if need be, but mostly you're going to be putting the guys into the spike pits. See, that's when you see that the guys aren't showing up anymore, that's because they're dead. They went into the spikes and instantly died. You're not going to hear the sound effect of them getting stabbed by the spike because my tutorials don't have any game sound. But I do have sound on my legit playthroughs. But for this, I just wanted to show my tactics, which I was pretty happy with how this shit came out. One of my favorite tutorials that I made. I thought I got a lot of clean segments, and I was pretty happy with that. I thought it was pretty fucking cool. But I am looking forward to trying a 1cc on Expert after all this. But same strategy here. Use this side now and corral these guys into the spikes yet again. So always keep in mind you can always use dynamite as well. So I don't really pick it up too often, but I like to try to lure the AI and stun them over the dynamite and see then they'll take massive damage when they get hit. So the AI is very easy to manipulate. They try to follow your movement, and you can learn how they move, and you can manipulate them once you learn how the AI responds to your movement. It's very doable to manipulate it once you get a feel for it, especially if you've played a lot of beat-em-ups, especially difficult ones like Streets of Rage 3 is a tough game, and that'll teach you that kind of shit as well. Games like that. And that's another one I have a tutorial up for. A great game. But, yeah, now you can't see it here, but those guys are actually going into the spikes. See that Abobo I just took out, the yellow one? He's dead already. He went into the spikes. You can't see them, but they're there. So what I'm doing is I'm knocking this guy back over to the left. And he's going to go into spikes as well. So this saves a lot of time. Now, if you don't have the sticks, you can try to do this with any other method. I would recommend probably using the uppercut flying knee combo to really expedite their travel plans to the left side of the screen quicker. Now, with these guys, as soon as they come out of the door, try to be whacking them with the sticks and grouping them together. This is a very hard part. So this can be very hard to get these guys to cooperate. So don't get too frustrated if they knock you around a lot. They're very hard to deal with at times. Now, my main trick that I used that worked very well for me when I was isolating this segment was to put my back against either the left or the right wall. That way they cannot get behind me. And if they come from below or above, they have to kind of move up into where I'm standing and get smashed. So they don't really have much of an opportunity to get to me because I'm waiting to smash them as soon as they get within range. So I recommend keeping your back against the wall and try to have them come to you. Because they can even walk on top of your character and not hurt you until they actually land a hit. So I actually let them walk onto my character sprite, and then I start hitting them. Remember, you can hit enemies with the back of your nunchuck as well, and the back of your stick. So just because, you don't think you can hit them, you can hit them a little bit behind you. But it's not, you don't have, it's very, very small range, but it can be done. And that's something that I do a lot of times. You see the guys coming in from behind, and I'm hitting him as he's coming in from behind sometimes. That's something you can do. Very important to do that when you're using the back against your wall method, that's what I'm doing here. The method I found to work the best and most consistently for me. You can do a lot of fancy shit, obviously, if you want it to look cool. But if you're trying to be efficient, which is all I was going for, then I recommend the back against the wall. Now, for these guys, I found it easy enough to combo them consistently as they came out the door, but eventually they're going to multiply, making it much harder to do. But you can get in a lot of initial damage if you do it well. When they come out the door, you get a lot of combos in. So that's what I'm trying to kind of just finish them off that way without using my back against the wall. I'm just trying to hit them both because I got them grouped together nicely, so I'm trying to take advantage of it. But now things get a little bit more fucking messy here with all these characters showing up. So eventually I believe I'm going to go back to putting my back against the wall and managing them like that again. And basically just moving up and down with my back against the wall and striking as they get in, within range. Of course, it's not flawless. These guys can easily hit you with their flying kicks. But it should really increase your odds of taking less damage. You should be able to do a lot better. Now, if you don't have the nunchucks, you're probably going to want to try to launch them with uppercut knee combo, since that's some of the most damage you can do, and it's a double hit each time. And we'll send them across the screen. It'll get them off of you, at least for a little while. So that's your alternative method. There's unfortunately no way I know of to knock guys into spikes in this area. Otherwise, I would have loved to do it. I tried going all the way to the bottom of the screen and seeing if the guys would kind of fall off, but they don't. So I'm going to recommend the back against the wall method mostly. You can pretty much aggressively run at this guy and mash the stick weapon and take him out, combo him pretty easily, I found. But if you want to play it safe, use your back against the wall method like I was, showing. But, yeah, it works great, though. Now, you see, I almost ran out of time. And here's a little advice now about running out of time. If you see your timer's about to run out, simply hit the left trigger or bumper and drop your weapon on the ground. And then just let the timer kill you. Because it's going to kill you anyway if the timer's going to run out. And then what that does is it means you won't lose your weapon. Because the way you lose your weapon in this game, if you die holding your weapon, you'll lose it. So make sure you put your weapon down. If you're about to die, put the weapon down. Just some advice if you want to keep your weapons and you're in trouble and you don't think you're going to survive. Put it down for a little while and try to beat the guys with regular moves maybe. The only time I put my weapon down was when I saw the timer was going to run out. There's one part where I run out of time in this game. And you're going to see that in this final stage here. And I put my weapon down purposely so that I don't lose it. So keep that in mind because you're probably going to run out of time here and lose your weapon. Now with these traps, if you play it slow, unlike the arcade version of this game, you can actually dodge all these traps pretty easily by just watching them move and just moving accordingly. However, there is one trap coming up that I have no idea how to dodge. You're going to see me walk past it without getting hit. But keep in mind, I only did that twice with save states, and I only did it twice after many, many attempts. So I have no advice for how to dodge that. I'm going to say just take the hit and grab your weapon and move on. It's going to take like half of your life off, so it sucks. But I don't know of any consistent way to deal with it. And I tried to because I thought that would be very useful to figure that out for the tutorial, but I just couldn't figure it out. I don't see any logical timing to it. I tried. You see I got it here, but don't be deceived. You're going to get hit by that probably and at least lose half of your life. So just get hit and then just run past it. Don't stand there. Use your temporary invincibility. Just run past. So for this, I like getting down here, making the guy come down here, and just putting him right in the spikes. Now, you can only do that for the one Abobo. So we're going to have to fight these normally, and I don't know how to put them into spikes. But we can use that single plane method that I talked about earlier, where if you get down low enough on the screen, it forces the enemies in a straight line. Just be careful not to walk off the ledge. It's very easy to do in this game. If you go, a pixel too far, you'll walk off the ledge. Now, I'm not doing it here, but I think when the two Abobos come out, I use the single plane method to deal with them easier. And you can see how a lot of these methods that I talk about are applicable at all different phases of the game because the game uses a lot of similar areas. There's only so many scenarios in the game. So the back against the wall technique could be useful in many areas. I'm sure you could use it in other areas as well, especially if you have a weapon. So there's these exploits can carry over to many parts of the game. So you can even mix and match things that I'm telling you and make your own strategies. But this should give you a great foundation for how to really pull bullshit in this game. So you want to try to keep these guys together, obviously, on one side. That's optimal. If it gets more dangerous, you can try doing that single plane method. Like see, I'm doing it now. I get all the way on the bottom. It's like pixel perfect. It's a little bit dangerous, like I said. Easy to walk off the ledge. But if you can do it, you'll get used to doing it if you've done it before. You can keep these guys all in line. They'll be in a single line, and you can just smash them around left and right as they approach you. Very easy to do it this way. So yeah, the 1cc run should be interesting. I'm excited to try it after all I've learned now, after making this tutorial. I think it's going to be fun. So I will post that up. I'll post up my failed attempts and shit like that. Maybe I'll get it on my first try. I'm not sure. You get a lot of 1-ups in this game. So you see how I have 4 lives on the bottom left corner? Well, that's actually like 14 lives or something like that, or 13 lives. Because what happens is after you go over 9 lives, it cycles back to 0 again. But it counts. It still counts your lives. So we're going to use the back against the wall technique. But anyway, the reason I have so many lives is because I probably got like over 10 1-ups just on points. So you get a lot of 1-ups. So if you're doing a 1cc run, like I'm going to try to do, you're going to get probably over 10 lives just on 1-ups. Maybe 10 to 15 lives, I'm guessing. So you'll have your 5 default lives, but you'll have probably another 10 or 15 lives to work with. So, 1cc may not be as bad as it seems. It would definitely be brutal if not for all these things that I learned. I think I've learned so much now to be able to do it. I think I'll be able to pull it off. But yeah, try to use the dynamite and lure the guys. Get below the dynamite and have the guys kind of try to approach you and get exploded by it. You can do that. Mainly it's the back against the wall technique again. But be careful with the guy that has the knife. Always try to prioritize projectile guys first because they can be a big problem. Now, you see with the bat, I will never use the bat to swing at an enemy, but I will throw it at enemies. Now, this is the technique I was talking about where you can keep throwing the bat side to side endlessly, and you can take out, all the enemies that way if you want. And I'm going to show that more in depth at the end of the video. Actually going to show me doing it on a very dangerous part to do it on the final boss who has a machine gun. Not a good place to do that technique, but it's going to give you an idea of what I'm talking about if you haven't already figured out what I'm getting at. Now, when you do throw that bat across the arena and keep picking it up, keep in mind that you do not want to throw the bat towards the left side of the screen if you're too low on the screen. It will just go out of the arena and you'll lose the weapon. And of course, like I said, if you're running out of time or you're going to die, don't be holding a weapon. You don't want to lose your weapons from that. So you're going to see me run out of time soon. And I believe it's unavoidable unless you know how to speed run with super aggressive, moves that do massive damage. You have to be really good, I think, at juggling enemies and doing crazy shit, I think, to really beat this in time on Expert. The enemies just take so much damage. And whenever I see videos of this game, it seems everybody, on Expert seems to run out of time on this part. So it's very hard. It's actually very cheap that the timer doesn't really take into account how much longer it takes on Expert. Because even if you're playing super efficiently, you're going to run out of time. So anyway, with this, maybe throw the 2 knives left in the arena to damage these guys, and then try to group them together. These guys are some of the most irritating to deal with, but if you have the sticks, you can try to run combo them in a group, as you see me doing here. And it's a good way to deal with them. Alternatively, if these guys are giving you a lot of trouble, grab the bat and just start throwing it across the arena side to side. Just don't throw it when you're too low to the left side or you'll get rid of it, obviously. Now, my timer runs out here, but I had already put down the sticks, so I was able to keep my stick weapon. That's the only life I lose in this whole tutorial. Now, of course, like I said, it's all done in segments. It's not a legit no-death run or anything, but I wanted to do everything pretty clean for the tutorial. So again, with the sticks, try to group the guys together. If you're more comfortable, put your back against the wall, as I've explained. See how good this works? It really allows you to get these guys pretty easy and group them. So, improvise it if you're having trouble, and if you want to, if you want an easier method or a safer method, use the back against the wall technique. Since I've already shown it, I don't need to stick to just doing that, at this point. Because now you get the idea. It's very effective. It really forces the enemy AI to go in a specific path, so it really works to your favor. You want to try to put the enemies at a disadvantage using your terrain and environment whenever possible in this game. That's the way to really maximize the exploits and really pull bullshit. So that's what I was trying to do. So yeah, for this guy, this is the Damageless Run that I did in segment. This took a while to get with no damage. Because these guys, these Abobos are very cheap with throw range. They throw you very easily, and they get hits in very easily. But all you have to focus on is taking out the machine gun guy. Once he takes enough hits, he's going to be dead, and everybody else is going to die with him. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm ignoring the other enemies. If you still have one of those masked Burmov guys alive when the machine gun Willie comes on stage, try to finish off that Burmov, because he's going to cause a lot of problems. So if you're not doing a damageless run or whatever, or no death run on this guy, then maybe you don't have to worry about him as much, and you can just focus on Willie and ignore everybody else. Now, in a little while, I will show an alternative method that I don't recommend doing on the machine gun guy, but it's good for all the other enemies on this area. It can make this area much easier, but it's kind of tedious and it takes a while, but it's a safe way to do it. I still prefer the back against the wall method, as I find that to be easy enough to deal with. But you do get the 10 credit code revealed to you when you beat expert mode. And expert mode is revealed to you when you beat normal or hard mode. The game shows you the code for expert. So these are both codes that are actually shown to you in the game. So like I said, you could consider both the codes legitimate. So now with the bat, all I'm doing here is running side to side and throwing the bat. And grabbing it when I can and trying to group the guys together. And that's it. Now you don't want to do this on the machine gun guy. You can see how dangerous this is. This is not the area to do this method, but I just wanted to demonstrate it. So keep that in mind. But with the easier enemies, use that bat and throw it side to side and take out all the guys for sure if you're having trouble. Now, like I was saying, the 10 credit code, it is a code, but it is revealed to you in the game. And expert mode is also a cheat code revealed to you in the game. So you may consider beating expert with the 10 credits legit, since they're both cheat codes anyway. It just depends how you want to categorize it. I mean, I'm pretty strict with my games beaten list. And I kind of considered it somewhat legit, but I wasn't satisfied with it, so I went back and did it on the default 5 credits. I wanted a better run. But I barely beat that run, but I'll link that as well. I'll link that in the description. You can check that out. I'm going to try to do a 1cc run. But yeah, basically, see, anything that I missed, I'll try to clean up here at the very end. Yet, I would recommend, like I said, practicing that juggle combo with the uppercut knee. You really want to practice that because, if you can get that combo consistently to where it clicks, like by the time I beat expert on the 5 credits, this combo clicked for me on that run. It finally clicked, and that's when I really did well. Plus, I was learning exploits as well, but not to the extent that I knew before I made the tutorial. That's where I really learned to exploit the game to a crazy degree. So I think it's going to be fun to do that. But the juggle combo, you really want to practice that, and you're just going to be doing your uppercut followed up by a flying knee. And for quick knockdowns, if you need to knock somebody in a pit really quick, you may want to go with a headbutt. It's a very fast move that will knock a guy down instantly. And aside from that, you have a diving jump kick. When you jump, you can kind of dive down into a jump kick like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 style. And that can be a useful quick attack, but on expert, guys will punch you out of that a lot of times. So like a lot of the moves that you would like to use, like flying jump kicks, are not as useful as they could be on expert. So that's why you see me using methods that I found to be safer. Because like what happened was, by playing this for 6 hours when making the tutorial, it kind of filtered out a lot of the bullshit moves that were less effective, and it kind of just distilled everything down to the most effective moves that I found to use. So everything should be pretty refined. So if you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.